Welcome to the Consumer's Advocate. I'm your host, Attorney Ben Glass, and we're on location here in Washington, D.C., where each week we interview some of America's leading voices in the fight for justice. And today I have Attorney Michael O'Connor from Pennsylvania, workers' compensation attorney. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Tell me a little bit about your practice, first of all.
Well, we're located in 15 locations in Pennsylvania, and we're dedicated to the blue-collar worker. I mean, that's basically what we do. We do a lot of workers' compensation. And with that is we have very much experience with being able to help people with their work injuries.
I was going to say, workers' compensation is an area of law different from like auto accidents, where folks who've been injured on the job have a remedy, right?
See, the problem is, Ben, is that you can't sue your employer in Pennsylvania. You have to get your either your lost wages or your medicals paid for by workers' compensation. But you can go after third parties if they're responsible for your accident. So you do have some remedies in case, but you can't sue your employer. Yeah,
it's an interesting area of the law, and you told me off camera how you got there. What's a little bit about your story? How did you become a workers' compensation attorney?
Well, I grew up in a union home. My father was a leader in the local union. My two grandfathers were United Mine Workers, and often my grandmother told us a story of her father who was killed in a mine accident, where he was in a dusty, dark mine where a coworker accidentally put a pick in the back of his head, and he died instantly. And in those times, there was no widow's benefits. Basically, what happened was the mine company would take the body and put it on the porch, and then the widow is there to fend for themselves. And this happened in 1904, where there was a widow and two baby girls, and there was no one to take care of them.
And you heard that story as a
I heard that story growing up, and then I also read about the Triangle Waist Shirt Factory fire up in New York, where actually what happened was that the employer locked these women into the factory so they wouldn't take breaks and they wouldn't steal things. And here there was a fire, and people actually died in that fire.
It's a horrible chapter in America.
But it's important to note that was the start of workers' compensation, because at that point what happened is that people got outraged just at the working conditions, and they were able to have unions come forward and be able to help with making sure that their safety. Because one of the things that's very important right now, you have 12 people who die every day in a work accident. And that's still too much.
That's incredible, and they cannot sue their employers.
And you cannot sue your employer. You can only get lost wages.
Even if the employer did something wrong.
You can't sue your employer in most states. I mean, in Pennsylvania, you cannot sue your employer. So what you do is we also look to try to find other areas. Maybe there was a mechanical defect. Maybe somebody else was responsible, as far as maybe there was involved in an auto accident at work.
A third-party liability case.
Third-party liability is a very, very important case, and we tried to pursue those also because that can really supplement your income. And we have a lot of people today who are widows who come to us, their husband died. So, and what happens is they're able to receive benefits basically until they die or till they get remarried. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that they have all the benefits they could possibly have. Make sure that, that down the road we might be able to get them some extra benefits besides workers' compensation to help out.
Now, let me ask you this, because I know that there's a lot of lawyers in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of workers' compensation attorneys. What do you and your firm bring to the game that's different? Why would a consumer, an employee, look to your firm?
Well, first of all, I don't come from a law background. My father wasn't a lawyer. My grandfather wasn't a lawyer. Almost everyone in my firm is almost in the exact same position, where we come from a blue-collar background ourselves. So we're able to sympathize with the worker and when they come in to make sure that they're getting the right benefits. And it's almost like a vocation. We see this as that
a real calling.
Well, the thing is that we tell our lawyers all the time, if we don't win, somebody's not going to eat that night, which I think is very, very important to have them have that in the back of their head, why we have to win the case or why we have to pursue all the benefits we can do.
Let me ask you a little bit about the process. An employee is injured on the job. Is there a notice requirement? Who do they have to tell?
There is. In Pennsylvania, you have 120 days to bring notice. But what we're finding is that in this new economy, people are afraid to report their work injury. And the reason why they're afraid is because they're afraid that they might lose their job.
And is that true? Can someone lose their job if they report a work injury?
Some people have, but it's not right. We may be able to go after that company for doing that, because you can't fire somebody over a work injury. You can't even threaten that. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that the worker knows his rights, that, he reports his accident, because he tries to gut it out and be able to, he guts it out, and he's trying to
be a winner, put food on the table at night.
that kind of thing. And the thing is, at the end of the day, he might not have workers' compensation if he has to have an operation, if he has to, have some kind of treatment down the road, or lost wage benefits.
So he needs to give notice early. Let me ask you this. Someone who's watching this program heard you say how many offices you have.
Yes.
They might say to themselves, a big firm, I'm worried that I might just be a file or a number if I go with your firm. What do you say to that?
We treat everybody individually. Every case is different. It's amazing that you just can't generalize in this business, because everybody has different needs, and we try to look at the individual client and make sure we're addressing their needs. And we also do other things too. We do Social Security disability, which also goes hand in hand once in a while with workers' compensation.
As you said earlier, you're looking to maximize all of the benefits.
We look at everywhere we can do this, be able to find benefits for our clients.
And most people, even though this is all statutory, most people just have no idea. I mean, they've not experienced the claim process before.
They haven't, and you need a lawyer to navigate your way through, because the insurance company and the employers have lawyers on their side helping them, give them the advice. The claimant or the worker has to have a lawyer on their side helping them.
Of course, the insurance companies are trying to minimize payouts all the time.
All the time.
You're trying to maximize the recovery under the statute, not
Exactly.
getting more than is owed, but what's owed under the statute.
Exactly.
What you're looking for. Tell me a little bit about your staff, because I'm sure that you need a good staff who's knowledgeable. You represent a lot of people.
Well, the main thing is they're all people, because in order to be able to deal with the clientele we do, you have to relate to people. We're used to getting phone calls every day from clients who just have concerns, and we're able to field those phone calls in a very timely fashion so to ease those concerns. So, we emphasize to everyone in our firm that the client is the most important person, that we engage.
Now, each case is different. Past results don't predict future results, but can you briefly tell us a success story, a neat story of a family you've had?
Well, getting back to my grandmother's story, probably the most effective case, or the biggest cases we have, are widows. Somebody who gets killed in a work accident, either in a mine accident or gets killed in a construction accident. We're there to be able to help them be able to navigate, not only their workers' compensation, but to make sure that maybe there was a third-party accident there. Maybe somebody else is responsible. Maybe there was a defect in the product that they were working with. Maybe some other third-party company was involved with this accident. So we have an investigator go out and try to look at all those claims to make sure that widow is getting the most benefits.
Last question, someone who's watching this program, they may want to know how they can do business with you, or at least get an initial consultation with you. What should they do first? Do you have a website?
Well, we have a website. It's o'connorlaw.com. That's very easy to remember. We also have a number, which is 1-800-518-4LAW, and that's a toll-free number.
Well, look, thanks for being on the program today and joining us at the Consumer's Advocate. We hope to have you back on the show at some point.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.